A lot has happened since I said I would talk about pressure. Oh, goodness, a lot has happened. So, instead of titillating you with vague references, let's just set the agenda for today. I want to widen the topic from just self created pressure to include self created expectations. I believe these go hand in hand, at least for me. I think the best way to get through this horribly muddy swamp of emotion is to clearly define what I think expectation and pressure mean. So, on one hand, you have the end goal, the wants, the desire, the outcome which will satisfy the little troll operating your body. Expectations have a great power over me, not just because how I react to situations, but also the fact I set them so high. People can get in all sorts of crazy situations when expectations aren't met. You see the nicest people on earth turn into what I imagine nails on a chalkboard would be as a person. Just horrible. And before you can even ask, yes, I have morphed into this monster plenty of times in my youth, even sometimes as an adult. But wait, Yuval, shouldn't you learn to set realistic expectations so you can achieve whatever you set? So that you can grow in a healthy manner? Of course. In a lot of situations, I do. Relationships, friendships, certain events, and more. I'm not a completely messed up individual. Though, what I want to focus on is where I set my personal expectations on my growth. More specifically, the I didn't turn into a loser personal growth. When visiting this department of my brain, we can see that there is a deep-seated irrational fear that no matter what I do in life, I will always end up being a loser who missed an opportunity to become something. I know this isn't a unique fear, but it's what drives me to have a million things going on at once. I set the expectation to become more successful, but it's not clearly defined, and at times can be very unrealistic to what other people expect success to be. So what do I expect of myself? Well, for starters, I expect to be in business school this fall. I expect to lose an undefined amount of weight, but enough weight to fit into the size of clothes I had in high school. I expect to invest more in my podcast. I expect to keep in touch with friends, and now what seems to be two families. I expect to have time for myself. I expect to learn new technical skills for my career. I expect to climb the job ladder and make more money. I expect to find someone and not be single forever. And I expect to be successful. Even after that unnecessarily long list of things that, when completed, some people might consider to be success, I still expect to find some other form of success, as if I have to leave a large gap open for new expectations to fit into, as if my to-do list never ends. Now that I feel like we've laid the groundwork for expectations and what it really means to be Yuval, we have to talk about how we're going to achieve those expectations and build a stable mental home for the future. We're going to talk about pressure, and lots of it, like enough to turn charcoal into diamonds. The best way I can describe it is that pressure is just the fuel to make sure that you don't get trapped doing the same thing over and over again, then failing to meet expectations and ultimately falling into a depression because your whole life has been a waste. But what is a healthy amount of pressure? Is that even possible? Well, of course. That's what can get you motivated to write an open book at midnight after realizing a podcast you just recorded sucks and you need something for Tuesday. Pressure can make a human do very surprising things, both good and bad. But I'm here to talk about the bad. Let me preface this by saying these incidences have happened in the past, and it's been a while since something like this has happened to me. That being said, yelling comes to mind. A boiling anger in my stomach is a good one. My favorite is just falling to the floor and laying there, stressing over the self-inflicted pressure. Literally not being able to get up because you're afraid to deal with the pressure. A lot of these responses to this pressure could just be a chapter all on their own, but now I get to answer the question why I put so much pressure on myself. And to be honest, I don't know. You tell me. I can't just be someone who does the same thing day in and day out without learning or growing or something. So I end up putting all of this pressure on myself to make sure I don't fall into a rut. The pressure so powerful, I convinced myself the world is going to end just because I miss a deadline or I don't get the outcome I need. So which came first? the pressure or the expectations? I'd like to say that the pressure was created out of the fear of failing to meet expectations, but I can easily see that the enormous amount of pressure I generally have leads to having such high expectations, as if always being on DEFCON 1 means I might as well shoot for the stars. Just to save what dignity I have left, let's just say the pressure is created out of the expectations. I think the next question I have to ask myself is, when does it end? My gut says when I'm dead, but that's not a nice response. When am I allowed to just turn off my brain and just rest the body? Maybe that'll take years for me to figure out. Do full-blown adults know? Because I know for sure that I don't want to be a working stiff till I die. But it seems like every time I complete something, I just replace it with another thing, as if I just can't be happy with completing X, Y, and Z. Even if to some, it seems like I should be able to take a break, as if I should slow down and save the rest for later. I feel like I might irritate some people with my last couple of statements, and I want to clarify. In no way do I think I'm better than people. Everyone has their own path and what expectations and results they're happy with, and that is amazing. But I just can't help myself. How can people be happy with the way they think? Have they found the secret to life? Am I just not there yet? Maybe I'm just putting too much thought into all of this. Honestly, at this point, I can't say what I'm doing is bad. Maybe that's just what it's like being in your 20s. I guess the best thing to do is to just continue with the norm and keep striving just as long as I don't spiral out of control. Like I said, I think I struck a balance between these drastic expectations and pressure to a point where it's not unhealthy anymore. Sure, it'll be something that I can continuously improve and refine, but for now, I think I'm just going to take some time to relax. Now that I'm thinking about it, my extreme reaction to where I am in life might have something to do with my history of drugs. Next time, though.